Welcome to episode 12 of Let the Ancestors Speak. I hope you're doing well in these pandemic times. Today we are going to be doing a virtual tour of the Hardiman House kitchen and its thematic expression of abundance and ancestral keepsakes. The Hardiman House kitchen started out with this stove. We had just moved into the house. We didn't have anything we didn't quite have anything. We had a refrigerator and a microwave. And a colleague of mine who was rearranging her house said, I have this old stove and I think it would fit your house's character. Would you like it? And we saw the stove and we said, yes, we would. Well, 6 people later who helped to carry it because it's pretty heavy and I don't know if they're still our friends, the stove arrived and Hardiman House kitchen began. Sama had just finished doing the sunroom, so she was really into stained glass mode. So she decided that we needed to have stained glass in the kitchen as well. So we went down to Antique Row. She found these old stained glass windows. We worked with Lonnie, and he made them into doorways for our cabinets. Now, I really wanted to have an island in the kitchen, but I was told that I didn't have any room for an island, so I was really sad. But when I went away, I came back, and Salma and Lonnie had built me a retractable island of sorts. Another surprise I got in this kitchen when I went on trips, maybe it's a good thing I went on trips, were these incredible walls that surround the kitchen. Salma did them in faux brick. I would have never agreed to it if I was there, but I came home and I loved them. This kitchen has many lessons. One of them is don't block your blessings. Always say yes. Sometimes when we say no, we can cut ourselves off from something quite miraculous. One of the things that we wanted to make sure of, that when we entered the Hardiman House kitchen, was that we wanted people to feel a sense of abundance, to really understand that the glass is most of the time half full instead of half empty. So we collected various images of black abundance from our travels. I got this piece from Cuba, and this Black Mama of abundance from Mexico. I got this piece of that showed you the abundance in nature from Ecuador, and this woman who is balancing, who has a straight back and who is balancing the fruits of her labor. We got this one in Trinidad, and I got this one in Haiti. These images of abundance are not just here on the stove, but they also grace the doorway to outside at the back of the kitchen. This image of abundance comes from Kenya. It was given to us by a dear friend as a housewarming present. And this piece came from Brazil. And again, we see that beautiful, strong back. We see that elegance. We see that abundance that is contained within the Black experience. And this is one of my favorite pieces. It was done by a local artist, and it is called Bounty. And I love her smile. And one can just hear the robustness, the enjoyment of life. And that's what we want to encourage here in the Hardiman kitchen. This picture came from Jamaica, and this story quilt came from South Africa. And it's an amazing piece of art because not only is it an art, but it is an interactive family piece, because each of these pockets have the possibility for notes. And when I bought the quilt, there was a note in each pocket wishing the buyer all grace and wishing the buyer prosperity. And so we see these things that were part of our culture, part of our lineage, of this idea of industrioususness, of ingeniousness, of communal working together in order to promote abundance. I grew up in a house that was not only a reading house, but it was a listening house. We had 2 radios in our house. One radio was the family radio, and it was in the den, and I used to go down to the couch at night and put blankets around me and listen to The Shadow, The Whistler, Time Out, Sherlock Holmes, all of these amazing mysteries. And it was a great place to use my imagination. My father had a radio too. And this is my father's radio. This radio used to be on the house, on the kitchen table of our house on Hamlin Road. And my father would also use it for his imagination because he would listen to the local black stations, the national white stations, Radio Free Europe. He would listen to truckers going down the road, and sometimes he would join in and pretend he was a trucker too. He would listen to sports. It was a good place, this radio, for him to kind of chill and meditate, reset, in order to invigorate himself for the next days that were ahead of him. Another item on our ancestral keepsake shrine is this bowl. This bowl came from my grandfather's store in Meridian, Oklahoma. Meridian, Oklahoma is 96 miles from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the home of the Black Wall Street Massacre. My grandfather had a store in Meridian with his brothers, and they knew things were not well for black folks who were prospering in the area. So they sold their store, the Ayers Brothers store, and most of the brothers moved to California, and my grandfather moved to Memphis, where he met my grandmother, married her, and they gave birth to my mother. When my mother was born, they gave her this bowl as her porridge bowl. When I was born, my mother gave it to me, and this is a very bowl that I used to eat out of. I can remember as a child eating with my granddaddy, Bill, who was my grandmom's second husband, who she remarried after my grandfather, who had originally given the bowl to my mother, passed away. So Daddy Bill was my caretaker while Mom was working, and he used to fill the bowl with pancakes and syrup and lots of butter, and we would play games about how I had to eat the pancakes so fast before the monster came and made everything. The soggy monster turned the nice pancakes into sogginess. And we would just laugh and laugh and laugh, and then he would give me a little sip of coffee. He would be drinking coffee, and he poured me a little sip of coffee into the cup, and I was grown. And so, what are the lessons to be gained from our ancestral tour of the kitchen? I think the major one for me is that to remember that as Black people, we are a people of a lineage. We are a people of longevity. That we are a people who have been here before, who have seen things before, and have survived. Survived even the worst that was thrown upon us, and still thrived, and still learned how to walk, and continue to walk with our heads held up as if we were carrying a basket. And so I think what the ancestors want me to say to you today is, it's really important to recognize the bounty that we have. It's also really important to rest and reflect when necessary and reset so that one can move forward. So I say to you, take care of yourself, stay strong, because the ancestor spirits are with you. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe.